Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Dion and Kenny for another episode of Wuxia Weekend. And tonight we are continuing with International Month, where we're doing the Raid Redemption, Raid the Redemption in America. This is a 2011 Indonesian film. It's a really intense action movie, and it incorporates a lot of Salat. It stars Iko Uwais, I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly, and is directed by Gareth Evans. And it's basically about a police raid of an apartment building that's essentially a fortress, and they get stuck in there and they have to fight their way out. And it's a really intense movie. It's kind of got the intensity of a zombie film, I would say, but no zombies. It's all martial arts and police tactics and drug lords. So before we begin, I do want to mention we have a Patreon page, and there's a link in the description. You can go there and look at the different reward levels we have, and that helps us to obtain movies when we need to rent them or when we need to order DVDs. If we run into any hardware issues, we can use the money for that. So just go and check out the link, and you can look at the rewards and see if you're interested. So why don't we begin with everybody's just reaction to the movie? What did you guys think of it? I guess we'll start with Kenny.
I enjoyed it. Like it's not my first time watching the movie. Like I've seen it. I think I saw it in the cinema when it first came out, and it was a very, I'd say, it's a very exhausting experience because they keep the tension ramped up so high throughout the movie. There are very few like calm low points in the movie that you're just sort of like tense and like waiting for the next bit of action to happen. They don't really. It's relentless, I'd say. But I really enjoyed the fighting. The grunting less so, but maybe that's just stuck out to me because apparently Brendan and Dion didn't really notice it during that. They noticed the ultra violence more than the grunting. Maybe I'm just too desensitized to people being stabbed through the throat with glass tubes and and various other brutal ways of murdering people.
This was my first time seeing the movie, and I enjoyed the movie. Usually I'm doing something else when I'm watching a movie, but this time it was like my attention was caught from the beginning, so there was no delving into anything else. It was so intense. Your attention was caught and kept, and I enjoyed the fighting style. It was definitely new and different for me. The violence, not so much new, but yeah, it was a good movie. I liked the side characters and the main characters, but I don't know. I think they were all very well written for this type of movie.
And I like this movie. I think I reviewed it on the podcast like 2 or 3 years ago. Like I saw this movie late. Somebody recommended it to me, and they were surprised I hadn't seen it, and so they basically said I have to get it, and so I picked it up, and so I probably saw it like 5 years or 6 years after it came out, and I thought it was a great film. It's like Kenny said, it's really intense and exhausting. I was almost not looking forward to this because I was like, oh man, I gotta sit through this. It's a really an entertaining movie, but I knew what I was gonna be undergoing watching the film, and it's the kind of movie where you watch the protagonist just barely make it through by the skin of their teeth, and every scene you're on the edge of your seat, and so it's almost physically demanding of you as a viewer. Like you can feel it in your body when you're watching this movie, and so I was like, this is not going to be a relaxing view. But as soon as it started, I was right back in there, and I was thoroughly enjoying myself, and I was noticing little things I hadn't seen before. So it's definitely a solid film, and I think the action in it is just amazing in my opinion. So what did you guys think of? I guess this is a movie where I think we should talk about the action, the fighting first, because it's predominantly an action movie. So I don't know, maybe we could cut it up into firearm combat and tactics first, and then we can talk about the martial arts stuff. But what did you guys think of the sort of opening sequences where they're really emphasizing the police tactics and the like exchange of fire between the two sides?
I thought it was actually like for a gunfight, it was actually pretty clever. So the one particular scene that stuck out to me was when they were all stood in the dark, and we're not really sure what's happening, but one of the police officers opens fire, and the muzzle flash was enough to like give the bad guys like an indication of where the police are, and then all hell breaks loose after that. And it's just I think that's a very little thing, I think, but I think it's like it's a very clever way to sort of spark off an intense round of gunfire.
Yeah, I think you really get a sense of what the police go through when they're entering some kind of raid, and the thing with most of these guys, if not all of them, being total rookies, just makes it even more intense because they're not sure what they're getting into or what to expect, and you really feel for them. But I thought, like Kenny said, I thought a lot of the things that they did were pretty clever. That scene in particular really did stick out also, but it felt different than a normal police movie. It was just so much more intense. And you get this, I don't know, to me, it was more of a bird's eye view into what really goes on. Like you could tell someone had to be in police training and trained them very well to do what they did.
Yeah, I liked how they, like, just with the way that they were moving into the building initially, you just got a real sense of, like, this is Team A, this is Team B, this is how they're approaching things. And I like how the movie begins with them all like, everything is going to plan, and then as soon as things don't go to plan, the pieces just kind of start to crumble, and that's when they get really exposed. So on the way in, they're like acing it, right? Like they're taking out guys left and right. Everything's going smoothly, and then when the white-haired guy, and again we're gonna spoil stuff, so just keep that in mind. But when the white-haired guy, whose name is Wayu, shoots the kid, that's really when things kind of take a turn for the worse, and then it's almost like they're just slowly stripped of all of their resources, all of their tactical abilities. Though you still get flashes of it. You still like the scene where they just start chopping their way through the floor. To me, I thought was a really cool moment in the movie, and it was, again, it's one where like tactics were kind of emphasized. Where like a normal person goes in there and is looking for doors and windows, and because they've been trained, they're looking for sections of the floor to cut through and jump down. So I just thought stuff like that really worked well. And in terms of the fight scenes, like the actual martial arts, I thought it was just amazing and stunning. The fighting was all really painful to watch, and it was I don't know, like I watch a lot of we all watch a lot of martial arts movies, right? And I don't normally feel it when I'm watching it the way I do when I watch this movie. Do you know what I mean? I don't normally feel like, oh, that looks like it hurt, It just had a lot of moments like that, and I feel like I'm pretty immune to that generally. So I don't know what this movie was doing that triggered that in me, but I just was a lot more sensitive to the violence that I was seeing. So,
well, maybe because like most of the violence feels like it has consequences. Like you see the results of like people getting winded when they get punched incorrectly, or punched in the right place, I guess, depending on which side of the of the battle of the fight you're on. And you can really like emphasize with them, like getting punched in the throat. It's not a comfortable feeling, and like being thrown against the wall. I feel like something that that happens in wuxia a lot is that these like the strikes are never really like, I'd say, realistic in the sense that in this movie it feels underhanded, right? Like a lot of they're not low blows per se, but they're here to try and incapacitate you in the most efficient way possible. But wuxia doesn't really do that. They either like kill you with a weapon, or when it comes to like fist fights, it's always you punch and people bounce apart, and then they jump together and bounce apart again, and they're not. often it's not as impactful as like seeing someone like suffering from
Yeah.
the actual physical detriments of being hit.
No, yeah, and also like the bad guys were pretty ruthless too. So they were like at one point the protagonist is on the ground and they say chop the leg, and in a lot of movies you don't feel like that's actually gonna. You don't feel that they're actually going to take the hero's leg off unless that's like the point of the movie or something. But here it seemed like a fair possibility because you weren't even quite sure who the protagonist was until I don't know, like a quarter into the movie, right? Because there's a few characters offered up as who could survive their way to the end of the film, and I think that really helped to up the sense of oh my god, who's on the chopping block in this movie? Because you might have thought that the leader of the tactical unit was going to be safe through the whole movie, but again, spoilers. He dies in a pretty terrible way. What was that? Midway through the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Jaka, right? Jaka was the sergeant, I believe.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that reminded me a bit of that like a pretty infamous scene from, was it Saving Private Ryan, where one of the German soldiers was like had a knife and was like slowly like stabbing it into one of the soldiers on the main cast's heart, and you can just see like the soldier, that guy was just trying to push him off, but he was just like in the bad position and he wasn't able to muster enough strength, and the knife is just slowly slipping in, and you can hear the gurgle as he dies, right? And it's kind of similar here. Like you see him like concussed and he's unable to react. You can tell that like he's in a bad position, and the dog, was his name? The
Mad
dog.
Mad Dog.
Mad Dog was just like getting in position to like rip twist his head off basically, and you can just see it. And it's just like a slow, methodical approach to the inevitable like moment. It just really like sets like that scene was quite powerful as well, because the helplessness of Jacko was just like completely reflected.
Well, and it's even more like, I think one of the things that makes that scene like really emotional at the end too is that Mad Dog is at first it seems like he's almost kind of honorable, like he puts the gun down and he's about to fight him barehanded, and you kind of breathe a sigh of relief. But then as the fight goes on, you realize, oh no, this is 10 times worse than being shot in the head. Like, Mad Dog is just interested in killing him with his bare hands, basically, and so it's an even less dignified death than if he had just been shot.
The shot in the head would have been more humane.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time the movie does that either. So when we're introduced to the boss, and he runs out of bullets during when he's executing various people, and he leaves the gun on the guy's shoulder, and says, "I'll be right back."
That was a horrifying scene, because he just very rapidly starts executing people, but you get to see the expression on their face before it happens because they're all lined up in front of that tarp. And it humanizes them instantly, you know what I mean? Because you see the fear in their eyes, and he's just mercilessly killing them. And I don't know, do you think he planned that? Like, do you think he deliberately knew how many bullets were in the gun and was just, doing that on purpose?
Probably.
Yeah.
He seems like a type who would get off on that kind of sadism.
Yeah, that scene was one that was really intense. I thought another one was when they were hiding in the crawl space.
Yeah.
The guy's going through with the machete, and it gets him on the cheek. That was like, that was uncomfortable to watch, just because the machete just sat there for like 3 or 4 minutes, in real time, and all you could think of is how painful it's going to be when he pulls the machete out, and they make you wait for so long for that to happen.
Yeah, and I like that he wipes the blood as it goes out as well. Like,
yeah, me too. That was very smart.
It's one of those things which is quite easy to miss, like even on the filmmaker's part and also on the audience's part. Like maybe at some point there'll be a film buff somewhere typing away, oh my god, like why didn't they notice that there was a massive trail of blood on the machete or whatever? But the fact that they sort of anticipated that, I don't know, like it was very smart. Okay, it was one of those things which adds a lot to that particular scene, I think.
No, that scene was intense. That's the scene that I always remember from this movie. Um, and yeah, so and also the just the way that, like, when they first go in, right, you feel like they've got everything kind of under control, but then as the movie unfolds, you realize that the bad guys are so much in a better tactical position that they're able to easily deal with all their men outside, and and then by the end of the movie, when it's revealed that they kind of knew it all along, that they were basically waiting for them to show up. It's just this, I don't know, it's just kind of like this sinking feeling in your stomach over the course of the movie.
But who expects that many bad guys to be living in one apartment building? I know it was kind of like a safe haven for criminals, but you're not expecting them to come out like roaches, as many as they did. And then he gives free rent to whoever, can kill all these people. And it's just like, then they all came out. It was just like, I was not even expecting, like, when they said that there were bad people living in there, I was thinking maybe 10 tops in the whole entire apartment building. But man, it seemed like there were 100. They just kept coming.
It seemed like even the kids were in on it, right? Because the kid, like, runs away and shouts police, right? So it's like, yeah, no, I think that's the thing about it is it's just this image of a building in your head, and you don't really know. They build it up at the beginning when they talk about it, but you don't know the extent of it, and you kind of learn it as you're watching the movie. So
yeah, there's a very large scale meth lab or something, and they do mention that they have the muscle to sort of protect that level of operation there. Yeah. So it's so amusing that, like, all these people run out and are, like, all very capable martial artists. They all trained in the same school after that.
Yeah. Well, okay, but I will say that's at least partly believable. If you're a career criminal, you're going to have to perform violent acts, and I think it makes sense that you would hone those skills a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I mean, maybe not to the extent that we saw in the movie, but it's no worse than any standard kung fu movie, right? Where everybody is modestly capable of martial arts.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk specifically about some of the martial arts sequences in a bit. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about the plot too, because we addressed action first. What did you guys think? I mean, I know it's an action movie and the story is not as important as in other films, but there is a story here, and I'm just curious what you guys thought of it.
It's. I think the story itself, it lends very well to the sort of. I think to the level of tension that the whole movie has, right? So, they clearly designed this movie to be sort of high octane, edge of the seat, thrilling experience. Which, yeah, I mean, it's kind of inconsequential that the bad guy was who he was. Like, if they had any other building full of criminals, like, it could probably have had the same effect, right? So in that sense, it wasn't that memorable. I don't know. Like, it's it feels like a dungeon crawlery type thing to me.
It's
like
definitely a dungeon. This is definitely a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
Like, chopping through the floor is definitely something PCs would do in a dungeon crawl. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the story kind of bobs its head up every once in a while. It's sort of like, because it's so action focused, they made a story that can emerge briefly and heighten everything, and it's easy to follow. They're raiding a building. Okay. Oh, here's a new detail about the raid that's relevant. It wasn't an authorized operation. Oh, it's actually not even really a police operation. It's more about taking out this guy as a hit. And and this guy's brother is in the building, and that that's something that adds a lot to the scenes with the criminals in the conference room, right? Because the brother has to conceal that he's related to this guy, and the boss is so paranoid that he kind of finds out pretty easily, and so and it's the thing that really leads to that showdown between Mad Dog and Rama and the brother. So, but I like how the story is simple enough that I can track it, and not because you're already tracking so much in this movie. I wouldn't want a complicated story, so I feel like it was fairly cleverly put into the movie.
I thought it was perfect for this. It was, like you said, it was very simple, easy to follow, and really there's not much to a raid on an apartment building. I mean, there's not too much of a story you can really have with that, especially if you want the action to be showcased.
It would be interesting if somebody attempted that, though, if they tried to make like a super melodrama where like every room something is going on. But yeah, no, I like
horror
this
movie called the Cube, was it? There's that movie where like you have a group of people trapped in rooms, and you have they had to like try and escape the maze, and each room had like different traps and stuff.
I don't believe I've seen that one. Is that the one with Jennifer Lopez in it, or am I thinking of a different movie?
I don't remember. It's just one of those types of.
This is like the third time that movie has come up on this podcast, so I think I have to watch it.
Okay.
But yeah, so but yeah, there's not a whole lot of story, so I think we should kind of focus more on the characters. And the character I want to start with is actually Mad Dog. First, I just want to know what you guys thought of Mad Dog.
Oh, he was great. I especially like the fact that he's not despite the fact that he's I'd say he's like featherweightish, like he is like
he's small,
very
he's
slight,
really
build,
small,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably like, he looked like he would be like a lightweight or a featherweight. I think you're right.
Yeah, and I like the fact that even though like in sort of martial arts movies, even small people tend to be like super badass. Like he was super badass, but at the same time, like they kept in mind the fact that his size or his weight class was a bit of an issue at times. Given how easy he was like flung around and stuff, right?
Yeah, they would throw him, and also when in the fight with the sergeant, he was using his bigger body to just kind of like ram him and knock him down. Like you could definitely see size impacting those fights.
Yeah, but the thing is, the most terrifying thing about him is that despite being thrown around so much, like he just keeps getting back up, and like he might be bleeding from the mouth, like or a little bit shaky, but he's just right back at it. And the name Mad Dog suits him really well because he is like a rabid dog. Like he won't give up until he is down for good, basically.
He keeps fighting. Go ahead, Dion. Sorry.
I was going to say he was a rabid chihuahua. He's just all in your face, all over you, and he can't. I mean, you're thinking, wow, this guy isn't really going to be able to do much. But once he starts, you're completely convinced that anybody of any size can win in any bout against any bigger opponent. This guy was amazing. His skills were just wow. And the cleverness, using everything that he could for leverage to get over the size difference was awesome.
And also he's just like a psychopath. Like he clearly loves killing people in that way.
Oh,
yeah. And there's a moment when he first decides to fight the sergeant where he puts his hands up like that, and so you can tell he was like some kind of competitor. Do you know what I mean? Like that was like something a guy who fought in the ring would do. And so like I got this like instant backstory on him just from that one gesture. But just how, I don't know, he's just so crazy. But the question I have is he honorable or is he just insane? Like, because he in both of those scenes, he could easily have killed the brother and the other brother with a gun in that scene, right? In the final match between them. But he chooses to just use the brother as a punching bag and then allow both of them to fight him 2-on-1, which is an unbelievable disadvantage he's putting himself into. And in the first fight, he has the guy at gunpoint and he puts the gun down and takes out the clip and he fights him. But it's obvious that he is doing that because he wants to kill the guy with his hands. So, does that remove the honor that we see?
No one's really defined honor to also mean good, right?
No. It doesn't have to be good. I just mean like some kind of code.
I think it's perfectly honorable. Like it's not like he gave them a fighting chance. If they beat him, that it's his loss. But the only issue is like he doesn't consider himself beaten until he's dead, and he doesn't consider them beaten until they're dead, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the opponent has different ideas on what it means to have a fair fight.
Yeah.
But I think like he was acting within his own his own code of honor of like I will put down my weapons and I will fight you hand to hand, and when you lose, I will end you, which I think is fair enough.
I say he's an honorable sociopathic, insane killer.
Yeah, I would agree.
What I like about him as well is like after when he meets with Andy at the elevator and he's dragging the corpse of the sergeant, I feel like it was a bit more cat-like in the sense that he was bringing a toy for his master.
Yeah.
Look at what I got, and I felt like that really sort of added that to the dog part of Mad Dog.
Yeah, no, that was a scary scene because you realized how different he and the Andy character, the other guy who was like the consigliere type figure. You realized how different they were in that scene. Like Mad Dog is a killer and he's loyal and he's just all these things and it made me afraid for Andy in that moment because I was thinking, oh no, he's gonna see the dead bodies in the elevator, like it's just gonna all unfurl right here.
I don't know because the bodies were shown when he was talking with Rama in his apartment. Rama was like asking, who are those? And
that's right. It was
like, oh, they're nobodies. Yeah. So he'd already moved them. But I'm surprised that like there wasn't any blood remaining or anything. Like it seems.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Either way, the boss found out anyways. So it was, But I thought it was going to happen at that elevator moment. So what about the Rama character, the protagonist? I mean, he's the main figure in the film.
It's strange that someone who set off so many death flags at the very beginning of a movie survived to the end, to be honest.
That set off so many what?
Death flags. Like, he said, I'm going to retire after this job.
Okay.
I'm going to go back and get married after whatever. And,
my pregnant wife.
Baby on the way.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But I think that's an American cop thing, right? Like that's something that happens in American cop movies where if somebody's going to retire, that's a sure sign that they're going to die and all that. But yeah, I'm glad they didn't go that direction with his character. I'm glad he survived. But yeah, I don't know. I liked him. I thought what is it? Iko Uwais. I thought he was incredible as a martial arts performer, and just this guy was skilled with just about everything he touched. I don't think I think he we saw him use everything. And he was good at all of it.
Machetes, actually, I think. Like he knew how to use them, but it looked a little shakier compared to say the bad guys, because I think he's trained with sort of official weaponry, and you can tell he with a combat knife, he is a beast, and with firearms and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to improvised weaponry, he's a little bit he knows how he should use it, but when it did feel like he wasn't quite he had to spend time adjusting to the weight or length of the weapon, and he didn't use it as well as it could have been used, I think. So which is if that's intentional, I think that's a really sort of smart move, because it makes sense that why would a SWAT officer spend time training with a rusty machete?
That's true. Though we did see him training in the beginning of the movie, so we did get a sense that he's maybe more martial arts oriented than some of the other people that were involved. But I liked how he used the police baton. Do you know what I mean? They were basically using it as a tonfa. Yeah. But it was just cool because I'm sure there are movies where it's been done, but I don't usually see the police baton used in that way, and it really added to that scene. Those fight scenes in the hallway with the knives and and the police baton and just all the different weaponry in that sort of narrow corridor. Those are the ones that I think really impressed me the most. And again, those are the ones where you see the guys getting stabbed in the neck on the door frame and stuff. So,
how do you think so? Like narrow hallways have the benefit of what sort of people call the martial arts like syndrome, where people dance around the main character who's fighting one-on-one with someone. Every so often someone else jumps in, and rather than being like a grand massive melee type thing, it's always one or two people at a time. In large open spaces, that doesn't really make sense, because the correct approach would be to all swarm, right? But when you put them in these sort of corridors, having only like one or two people being able to act being able to reach the character made a lot of sense. And didn't really like take me out of the immersion of you see people dancing around in the background waving a machete or whatever. You didn't see that. Like anyone you see on screen is there, and if they can reach the main character, they were hacking and slashing at him. They weren't like, there was no sort of like posturing or anything involved. It was all very sort of grim and straight to it.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes the footwork and the positioning important, because, like, they where they physically are in that corridor matters a great deal, and so there's like a lot of pivoting and things like that, which I like to see. So, and also, because I feel like you had the corridors, you had the rooms, and then you had like the meth lab, and like I think like one or two other special chambers, like the meat hook room where he had the guy on the chain, and also some of the stuff on the exterior. So the rooms were good for a lot of things too, right? Because like they could kind of throw little surprises in there at you.
Yeah, more props come in in the rooms.
Like the refrigerator, right? Like the refrigerator.
I got a question though. Like, what was the point of? I guess it was to try and contain the blast outwards.
Yeah, because they were going to explode that tank in there, and I think he threw a grenade in there too, didn't he?
He threw a grenade in there to set off the tank. But my question is, why didn't he just throw the grenade into the hallway? I don't know enough about weaponry to know whether maybe that wouldn't pierce through an entire crowd of people. But
I think they were trying to ignite the air with that tank, and that they wanted the fire to all go in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I don't know. Like a standard grenade should like be able to. If there are like 20 people outside, I feel like all of them would be severely injured if you threw a grenade in the midst, right?
Probably. I think I think it was mainly the blast containment is what they were shooting for, but I don't know. It was pretty intense. Just all of a sudden they're just moving this fridge over there, and it's just very sort of makeshift and kind of cool.
Yeah. And people being shot as they were pushing the fridge, and you're trying to think, is it worth it? What are they trying to do? Will it pay off?
You mentioned Saving Private Ryan a moment ago. I think this movie gets a lot of that kind of feel where you just don't know, like when they're in the middle of the fray, you don't know how safe people are. They walk by a window, they get shot. It all kind of happens at random moments, so you don't always see it coming. But yeah. So what about the white-haired guy, Wahyu, the evil corrupt police lieutenant who orchestrated the whole thing and led them all to their doom? I know, Dion, you had strong opinions about this guy. So
I hated him. You don't take rookies into a situation like that. They need more experience, and you're doing it all for your glory and to just take out a hit and earn a lot of cash. I hated him. I wanted him to die from the very beginning.
But I mean, he did say that. The first thing he said when he saw the SWAT team was like, "Why did you bring so many rookies?" And he forced the sergeant to send them to the back and hang out so that they wouldn't like have to take part. I don't know what. Like, I to be honest, I'm not really sure like what this order of things. Oh, sorry, Brendan, go on.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I don't know how can you not participate in that? Like you could put them as far back as you want, but like it felt like there was this was the kind of situation with if you're there, you're participating whether you like it or not.
Yeah, there were two lookouts, right? That were shot at the very beginning. They were outside the building, I think.
Yeah, the guys
the
guys in the truck, or were they?
There were guys in the truck, and there were also guys standing watch outside as well. and the snipers got them first, but left one of them alive so that they could scream.
That was
And well, it's what we call a 400 IQ move, because that lured one of the police officers to poke his head out the window to see what was going on.
Oh, it was perfect. It was really well done. It was both sadistic and tactical at the same time, so it served multiple purposes. But yeah, I go ahead, Kenny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he the white-haired guy was adorable. Like, at the end, like when he tries to kill himself as well, it's just like, I just thought, what a coward. Like, it's understandable why he would try that, like, given like the situation, that the boss had described. Like, you're just a piece on the chessboard, and even if you leave her alive, you're gonna get fucked anyway. So what's the point?
I loved the reveal. I loved how everything was revealed to him by the bad guy at the end, like that, and his whole plan just sort of fell apart. But yeah, I remember last week we were talking about how a face that must be punched. I forget the term.
Yes.
That's what this guy is. This guy even the bad guy is actually fairly charismatic. He doesn't have a punchable face, right? Like the villain in this movie, who's the drug lord, he doesn't have a punchable face. He has a face that's self-satisfied in a lot of ways and crazy and Joker-like, but not one that demands to be punched like this guy has. So I feel like they did a good job of building in the resentment towards him from the very beginning. So by the time you get to the end, well, what did you feel? Because Dion, you had sent me a message that said this guy needs to die by the end of the movie, right? Something like that. I forget what. Now I want to know how you feel about what happened, because he obviously didn't die, but it was.
I'm disgusted. He should have been used as a human shield.
But
that's how much I hated him.
See, I was thinking about your statement. I was wondering how you were going to feel, and I was thinking, well, I guess what he suffers at the end is worse because he tries to commit suicide and he doesn't have enough bullets to do it. So he clearly wants to die. So he doesn't get what he wants in the end. So I thought maybe that would make you happy, but you just wanted him to die.
I wanted him to die by enemy hand. I just did not feel. I felt like Kenny, that him trying to take his own life was cowardly because he didn't want to be disgraced. But you've already set the whole thing in motion. He just should have died by enemy hands. And I think Mad Dog would have been the perfect person to do it.
Yeah, I would say Mad Dog would have done a very thorough job. And also, Mad Dog is probably the most likable villain in the movie in a way. So, like, you'd kind of be able to root for Mad Dog in that moment, right? When the drug lord is deriding him at the end, you're a little bit torn, right? Because you don't know who to root for in that scene exactly. But if Mad Dog were going after him, it would be an easy choice. So yeah, I think he's a thoroughly unlikable character, but the actor's doing his job, right? Because we all had that feeling about him. So I feel like it's one of those roles where, he probably gets yelled at in the street when he's going to do his laundry and stuff, but but he needs to get a nod for that. What did you guys think of the drug lord, Tama?
I love how he was eating instant noodles at the beginning.
He was eating a lot of things in the movie. We saw him eating instant noodles. We saw him eating an apple or some kind of fruit with the paring knife, right? And I think we even saw him eat something else, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's just amusing that you have this drug lord with a basically an empire underneath him, and he's just standing there, like eating instant noodles out of a bowl before casually executing people. It's just
it's the mark of a sociopath. It's like to me, it says if you see a person in a really tense situation eating, it says that they're calm. That they're not feeling any of the nerves that everybody else in the room would be feeling, and that they can enjoy noodles like that. Right before they kill somebody, and we see that again in the scene when he's questioning Andy about his involvement with his brother, and he's chewing on the apple, and it's like the food kind of just gives him a sense of being relaxed and chill, I think.
But I'm also like amused that instant noodles is his food of choice.
Were they definitely instant? Were they in an instant noodle cup, or were they?
You know when you see like, instant noodles cooked and then like sort of curly and
Yeah.
it was instant noodles.
Maybe that's like his bunker food. Do you know what I mean? Because his whole thing is he's got that like control room, right? We don't know how long he's been in there waiting for this guy to show up. So maybe he just had like, he just had prepared like boxes of instant noodles to hold him over. Boxes of instant noodles and fruit, so that he could hold out.
I'm assuming it's like early in the morning as well, so he's having it for breakfast of all things. It's just like this guy is a psychopath. He's having instant noodles for breakfast.
I don't know if there's a time. There's no time restriction on instant noodles,
No,
right? Like you can have instant
it's
noodles
actually a
anytime.
staple breakfast in Hong Kong as well. Like it's a very common thing you get in the cafes and stuff. You get instant noodles with eggs and like luncheon meat or spam or whatever.
Yes, I mean it's a starch, right? It's carbs in the morning, so.
Yes, I mean cereal is just a starch and milk. Noodles is just a starch and soup.
When I used to do Taekwondo, they had that's what they had for food in the downstairs, and I would go in there for breakfast a lot of times and just make some of those like Korean instant noodles. And the only thing I think is you just don't want to use too much of the spice if you have a sensitive stomach. But I don't think Tama has to worry about that. I think he could have. I think that was probably the spiciest instant noodles conceivable that he was eating. I don't think he's afraid of spice when he's about to kill somebody.
I also like how like he's dressed so casually. He reminds me a bit of the Toad guy from Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's wearing flip flops and like a vest, and it's just like very shabbily dressed. But he is like brutal and is like ruling over an entire apartment complex full of thugs who are more than willing to murder people for just to skip out on rent.
He would have been home at a record store, right? Like you could imagine him just sort of like bobbing his head in a record store listening to music, but he's this insane drug lord.
He blended in with everybody.
Yeah, he did. I think he's a great villain. He's got the eyes. Something about his eyes really kind of, they're like reptile-like or something. There's just something about the way that he looked, and his eyes were always excited and alert, and the paranoia and just everything about this guy I thought was great. What'd you guys think of Andy, the brother?
Do you guys get the feeling there's more to Andy than meets the eye? Let me ask you this.
Yes. Here's my point. I think we all know that it was a hit that was set up. I was wondering if Andy was the backer behind the hit that set him up to get rid of his drug lord so he could take over the empire, because that's what eventually ends up happening, is he takes over the whole apartment complex.
Yeah, he does.
They got to move.
He does.
So, but he had that slick smile on his face. I know he's feeling like he's in his element, that he can't go back to his family and everything. But I think the complete surprise on his face when he saw his brother in the video and everything that happened, I don't know. I kind of felt like Andy set the whole thing up.
There is a part two. There is a part two to the movie.
And part 2 takes place 2 hours after the events of the first film.
Really?
I love when they do that. I love when movies just jump right into the sequel.
Oh my! No time has passed or anything.
No, it's just right back into the action, basically. But to be fair, the Rama wasn't really like injured in any like noticeable way other than like a cut on his cheek, right? Like he fought a lot. He got punched. He's probably bruised a little bit, but he's otherwise fine. So he could go for another raid on an apartment block, right?
Yeah, that's really not enough time to even get your wind back, I think, after something like that, right? Like,
no, the adrenaline's probably just finished like pumping through his body.
Yeah, no rest for our hero, unfortunately.
And I will say, like, for Andy, like, throughout the movie, like, so it feels like he is maybe doing undercover work.
I got that sense at the beginning.
Yeah, like they mentioned like in the sort of deep undercover sense, like his records were scrubbed entirely, right? It was
Mm.
mentioned, and only his first name was known. And is it okay if I sort of spoil the second movie? Like, not a major plot point,
Yeah,
but
you can you can do that. That's fine.
it's just a briefly saying that yeah, he's not an undercover cop, but it sort of feels like that he's set up to be in this movie. Like he's undercover, like trying to get close to this crime lord, and then like yeah, feed intel back to the police, and who then set up this raid or whatever. It does feel like he is being sort of yeah put there for a purpose.
And what was the spoiler from the sequel that you wanted?
He's not undercover.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely yeah. I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
But yeah, maybe one day we'll
But
do part two.
you see what I mean, right? Like this entire first movie sets him up to have that type of role.
Yeah,
And it's understandable if he was, but it's also okay if he isn't. I think.
I think it would have been more interesting if he was. I think that would have been kind of cool. Um, but yeah. So why don't we get on to recommendations and ratings? So we'll do. Was it 1 to 5 is our rating system, right? With no halvesies. Um, Kenny, do you want to go first?
Sure. I will give this a 4, just because, like, even on my third watch of this movie, I am still on the edge of my seat and like feeling the tension.
Yeah.
It's not a 5 for me because it's there are bits that could be polished, I think, and maybe the tension is a bit too high strung. Maybe it's just too exhausting to watch the whole thing, and I do like all the actors. I like the action scenes, and I think the martial arts usage was brilliant in the movie, and I just like that it's so gritty and dark as well.
I'm giving it a 4 also. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I was so sucked in from the very first scene with involving the police and everything. I thought it was very well acted. I loved the action sequences. I thoroughly enjoyed the violence. Should I say that?
Yeah, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the violence. I mean, it was brutal and intense and very exhausting. I slept really good that night. I thought I was going to have nightmares, but I didn't. So I'm giving it a 4. I thought it was a good movie and you should go see it.
It's cathartic.
Maybe that's why you slept well, because after the whole they keep the tension so high so that you sort of forget about all the brutal scenes, and then once it's all over, your body just relaxes itself and you can feel like you're in a pure zen state of mind.
It's practically a massage. It's practically a massage. Yeah, I thought that I would give it a 4 as well. And my main reason for giving it a 4 and not a 5 is only because some of the fight scenes went on a little too long for my taste. Not that they went. If they had gone on for a long time and I was still engaged with them, it was fine. But I felt in some of the scenes, I was like, I think I've seen that move once or twice already. I don't need to keep seeing. I feel like this guy's done. Maybe we should. And again, I'm a little bit torn about it because I do realize most of the scenes that went on too long involved Mad Dog, and that was kind of the point. But I just feel like those scenes could have been a little bit shorter, especially the second one. I felt like the second one went on for a really long time, but not so much that I'm gonna give it a 3 or anything. But so I would go with a 4 for that reason. And I think it's a really intense movie. I think that it's if you're an action fan, you have to see this film. If you like action movies, this is a must see. And if you like martial arts, this is a must see. And if you just like anything that keeps you on the edge of your seat, this is a must see. So I highly recommend it. It's worth renting or buying. And yeah, definitely would recommend the movie. So are we doing Lady Snowblood next week? Is that our next film?
Yes.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. I'm so looking forward to doing Lady Snowblood. So next week we will be talking about Lady Snowblood. A lot of this heavily influenced Kill Bill, if anybody has seen that. There's a lot of influence from the Lady Snowblood film in Kill Bill. And it's well, I don't want to spoil it for everybody in the podcast, so I won't say anything about it beyond that. But we'll be back on Friday with Lady Snowblood, and until then, we will talk to you later.